Elliot,
Hello.
you work at TLDR,
I do.
and I also work at TLDR.
You do.
And our video editor used to work at TLDR until he got a,
Yes.
a gig. And so
Yes.
now we have a video editing position open.
I see. I see where you were going.
Yeah, you see where it's
I
going
see where
here?
this is going. I'd like you all to know he doesn't prep me at all for these intros. He just says,
Absolutely
I've got an
zero.
intro, and then shouts my name.
Yeah.
So I had no
I,
idea this was coming.
I just told him this is gonna be mostly me talking. Well, before we get started on the actual Counter Strike of it all, our editor got a real nice gig and he can't edit anymore. And we're looking for a new editor. So if you think you could be that guy, note that we're all volunteer and none of us get paid anyway. So if you could be that guy or
Wait, you're
girl,
not getting paid.
oh shit, wait, what? What the fuck? If you think you could be that guy or girl, jump into the Retail DR accounts, Twitter DMs, or mine with like work you've done or something. So that way
Yeah.
you can edit this podcast and have your name be in the description on YouTube where it says produced by. Because until further notice, this podcast will be produced by me. And that's a scary thing. We did that for a year and a half, and that was a terrible time.
Well, I mean, it was fine for me. It was
fine for you.
Yeah.
For the viewers ended up the last time I had to edit this podcast, okay, which was a month and a half ago, okay, the viewers ended up with 4 55-minute podcasts because I kept exporting only 55 minutes worth. So if we had a conversation that went past the 55-minute mark, it didn't exist. And if the podcast ended before 55 minutes, it was just black video.
Very cool.
Extremely cool.
Good work.
So if you don't want that to happen,
I like it's very amusing to me that it was eventually pointed out to us like 4 weeks into this happening. It's like,
yeah, it took 3 weeks for someone to tell
very funny
me.
that someone was like, you do know you're only exporting 55 minutes no matter what. No, I didn't know that.
I had no clue.
Amusing. Somebody was just like, yeah, no, this is fine.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, okay, they need to be told.
So someone had to tell us at one point. Okay. Let's move to Counter Strike.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, last week we talked about the first half of Pro League. This week we'll talk about the second half of Pro League and some other sprinklings of things. And so we'll start with what happened in the end of the first week. So we had talked about Group A ahead of time. We said Astralis and 3D Max by this point were already confirmed. And one of Virtus Pro, FaZe, and Eternal Fire would not make it through.
Yeah.
And you said Eternal Fire wouldn't make it through.
Yeah. Did I?
And then Eternal Fire, yeah, because you didn't realize that you were doing some weird math stuff. And then Eternal Fire didn't make it through.
God, I'm smart. I don't know how I came up with that, but I'm really glad I did.
So,
that
yeah,
sound
at the
like
end,
me. I'm a big Eternal Fire fanboy.
I know, but I don't know. I think it was because it was going to be Eternal Fire versus winner of FaZe VP. And then I think you said that winner of FaZe VP would beat Eternal Fire, which is exactly what happened. And then the goal was like, oh, Eternal Fire is going to have to go on a lower bracket run against loser of FaZe VP.
Yeah.
Which they did, but they lost to Saw first.
I do think this group was absolutely stacked.
This group was really tough.
It made even worse by the fact, worse, quote unquote. Like 3D Max going through like immediately meant that like there's like Saw were in the lower bracket. Saw are a good team. Eternal Fire obviously are a good team. VP are good. FaZe are good. Fnatic were there. You know, there's some good teams here.
If you look at this group to start, I would have told you there are 4 teams that should make it through. But then there's like 2 or 3 teams like hitting at the door. Yeah. Right? Like if I had looked at this ahead of time, I said FaZe Eternal, Virtus Pro, and Eternal Fire. But like the seeding's kind of fucked with it a little bit because Eternal Fire was in the same area as FaZe and Astralis. Yeah. And so like some weird shit happened because of that. And then Fnatic beating Virtus Pro to start, fucked with that again. But like if you had told me now, if you had told me at the beginning, hey, Imperial is going to qualify through the lower bracket, but not through the last chance qualifier, I would have gone, yeah, that sounds about right. That tracks.
I'm not sure I would. I'm not sure I'd have believed it.
I'm not. It
There's
wouldn't
too
have
many good
totally
teams.
surprised
Like,
me.
there's too many good teams. Saw are like the 5th best team in this group. Saw would probably be like the 3rd best team in Group C.
Yeah, but if you told me that like No Way was and Descenti were just on one this week, like 3D Max made it through, man. Like, are you telling me that like if
but like,
Imperial wasn't put in the same spot?
I don't know. I'm always 3D Max. Yeah, all right, fine. But I wouldn't have believed they were going through either.
Yeah.
So
they probably would have been my least believable team, to be fair.
And that's not even like having a go at 3D Max or Imperial,
No.
because I think they're actually quite unfortunate to be in this group. 3D Max obviously made their way through anyway, but like there's a lot of good teams in this group. Imperial are probably the worst team in this group.
Yeah,
and they're still pretty good.
If you're saying Imperial and 3D Max are your worst team in your group, and like
Yeah.
we the two of us have looked at the rest of the groups, like
Yeah.
this group is fucking tough, man. So
like, what are the group? Like Group B has Tai Lu, who
they have
much as
Sharks.
I like Tai Lu, they're not very good, and it has Sharks. Yeah. Group C has Bad News Kangaroos, and it has Falls with Smooya. Group D has like Pera, FlyQuest, Boss, NIP. Like there's just bad teams in every group. I couldn't remember which group they're in. I had to go through every group to get there. I just knew from the start that I wanted to throw NIP.
You wanted to hit NIP, yeah.
I couldn't. Struggling.
But yeah, so Group A finishes out. Astralis, 3D Max, FaZe, and Virtus Pro will all move on to playoffs. That means Eternal Fire do not. That ends their little string of playoffs they had for a bit, because they did make playoffs at the major. Yeah, Group B. This was the other. This was a group I thoroughly enjoyed because we got to see the Mongols doing Mongols things.
Yeah, love the Mongols.
And we got to see two of the best matches I've seen in Counter-Strike in a very long time.
Both involving M80.
Both involving M80 and both involving G2.
Yeah.
So I'm going to run through this group. Vitality crushed it through 2-0, 100% of the way there. Okay, who cares? M80 lose to BetBoom in the opening, right?
Yep.
M80 then have to go beat Sharks in the lower round, then face G2, who lost 2-0 to the Mongols.
Yep.
I love them. So G2 M80 in the lower semis, loser gets sent to the last chance stage. M80 win.
Yeah.
In like a 70 round match or some shit. Like it was long. It was every map. Ancient didn't go to overtime, but M80 absolutely slaughtered G2 on Ancient, like 13-2 slaughter. And the other two maps went to single overtime on Inferno and double overtime on Vertigo.
Yep.
Double overtime on Inferno and triple overtime on Vertigo. I was doing math based on MR15 and not MR12. It was a really fucking long game. And M80 fucking won.
And finally, they've lost so many close games. And you're like, oh, finally they've broken their duck. They've beaten a big team in a long game, in a long series. They're finally here. They finally figured out how to win these close games.
Like you see,
and then they just
for a while.
Didn't.
Well, I was gonna say, for a while with NA teams, we talk about like, oh, look, the NA teams come and they show that they're just like not good on a European level, but like they can be really good domestically. M80 is the first team in a really long time that isn't Liquid Complexity that I've gone, this team can fucking compete in Europe, and they're fucking doing it.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
M80
anyone who's listened to us for any length of time or has listened to anything I've said for any length of time knows quite how highly we rate Malbs.
Yeah.
We finally saw him in a settled team against good players, and he fucking fried. He absolutely fried at this event. He was so good.
I also think that this event is a good. It's well. Let me to finish the M80 progression. Then I have other things to say about M80. So M80 lose to BetBoom in the lower finals again. The second time they played BetBoom this event. Also a 2-1 loss, different maps. They get dropped down to the last chance stage, who they play against Tai Lu and beat. On the other side of the last chance stage, G2 had beaten Falcons from their loss to M80.
Yeah.
So then we have a fourth place decider in the last chance stage of M80 against G2. to make playoffs. And the first game, a triple overtime ancient, and the second game, it was a G2 Inferno. But like at the end of the day for M80, okay, G2 is theoretically ranked the 5th best team in the world right now. I say theoretically because our opinions on G2 change on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I'd say that they are easily a top 10 team though, regardless of if we think
so.
they're
They are inconsistent, but they're more likely to win an event than most teams in the world.
Correct. And M80 right now is ranked number 42nd in the world. And M80 showed at this tournament that they should probably not be the number 42nd team in the world.
No, I don't think they're probably higher than number 42.
And the other thing I wanted to point out here is they started implementing Sin like 2 weeks before this event. Yeah. That's a new IGL, new system. Obviously, the system works because they're like winning matches.
Yeah,
but
I mean, Sin was the in-game leader on Big Academy, and he was, by all accounts, pretty fucking good at it. The only reason he left Big was because Tabson wanted to take back over. But from what I gather, his vision of the game is very German. It's very similar to how God B sees the game, how God B calls the game, which is rarely a bad thing. Especially,
I was going to say, if there's an IGL like you want to emulate, it's like it probably is God B. Most other IGLs don't have a sustainable. It's like God B or Carrigan. Those are the two visions you look at. Everyone else
even then, I think like Carrigan is obviously a great in-game leader, but he's very player first, system second.
Yeah, I was gonna say they both have. He's got a little bit of an unsustainable thing. Going on that's hard for other people. God B, you can replicate.
Yeah, well, supposedly, yeah, it seems that way.
I mean, think about online Big. They were always more than the sum of their players. Any good
Big
God B-ish team was more
Big
than the
at
sum
their
of their
best.
players.
The problem is that they were never particularly consistent, but they seem to punch above their weight quite regularly, which is essentially what M80 are trying to do. So it makes sense. But yeah, like it helps when you have a player like Malbs who now he's in this settled system. Now he's in a team that hasn't got the coaching game leading. Now he's in a team that doesn't have like Pesadeo and Maluke on it. You see, he is a top tier player. Like, he went toe to toe with Nico, and you could probably argue in both games he was better than him in both.
I think Malbs at this event averaged like a 1.3 or some shit. It actually may be higher than that. It may be like a 1.35 or something like that. It's a ridiculous number. I could look. I'm here.
He's 1.28, which puts him just above Stown, Naf, Twist, JL, Brokey.
Yeah, I was gonna say it puts if we give it a filter of like how many matches they've actually played.
Yeah, he's played 17 maps.
I was gonna say most people are like 2 maps, 4 maps. Zywoo's the top rated player with 6 maps.
Yeah.
Malbs has played 17 maps.
But yeah, a 1.28 over 17
and long
maps
ass
top tier opposition is impressive.
And long ass 17 maps. Remember, there's probably another 3 maps in there of just fucking overtimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he's been unbelievable. And he's finally shown the world what like those of us who'd watched him had seen. But like on the big stage he hadn't quite got there yet. And now he's like, oh yeah, no, he's arrived now. Like he's here.
Yeah.
This is what you can expect. Like the guy is so good. He's so good at the game.
So playoff teams from Group B, it's Vitality, Mongols, Bet Boom, and G2. Which realistically probably would have been my guess ahead of time, but it felt close. Way closer than it needed to be for G2 and Bet Boom to get there.
Yeah, I mean, Bet Boom is kind of like fine. They're kind of on the outskirts anyway. To be honest, them qualifying is probably... When you consider G2 Falcons...
it depends what amount of faith you're putting into Falcons, and which I've got 0 right now.
So at the start of this group, you've got Vitality, you've got G2, you've got Falcons, and then you've got like the Mongols and M80, who are probably a similar-ish level to Bet Boom. qualifying at all to them is probably pretty good. And they did it quite convincingly. They beat M80 twice. They lost to Vitality, which fine, everyone does.
People
and
lose to
they
Vitality.
battered Falcons. Like, Bedboom probably look at this and go, really fucking happy. G2, on the other hand, probably not so happy. Losing to Mongols 2-0, losing to M80, having another close game with M80, right? It was a 2-0, but it was a close 2-0, certainly the first round. And they squeaked past Falcons, who were wildly disappointing at this event.
I was going to say, if you're Falcons and you look at this, right, you lose to Mongols, you win Tyloo, you lose to Betboom, you lose to G2. This is another just bad tournament for Falcons.
Yeah, I don't even know where you go from here for Falcons, but it's really hard to, who do you change? Because
hear me out. What if they got a star player?
Well, quite, but who do you drop
now? It's probably Dupree. You probably just keep moving that fifth slot.
It's probably Madden, I think.
Madden was the other person on my list, but
you're not kicking Majisk. You're probably not kicking Snappy.
Well, the thing is,
you've only just signed Dupree.
In the end of the day, Sunpius, Majisk, and Snappy are all hard locked in their role, unless Zonic wants to break glass in cases of emergency Majisk IGL.
Well, yeah, that's true as well. There's
that's the only time that happens, because you need an IGL, you need an Opper, and you need Majisk to do Majisk roles. And we don't need to elaborate anymore on Majisk roles. He does things, okay? But past that point, Dupree and Madden are the two players left. And if you need a star rifler, either one of them needs to step up as a star rifler, and Madden was a star rifler, and then in a Snappy-led system.
Time ago, though.
Yeah. But that was FPX, right? And then in this Snappy-led system, turns into this more team-oriented player. And Dupree, I would say, was a star rifler.
He was, but
7 years ago.
He was, and then on Vitality, he was at the start, he was sort of a star, he was sort of aggressive. And then when they won the major, he was more like Madden, where he was a natural bona fide entry support.
Yeah.
Does the difficult roles well. You kind of have two players who, in an ideal world, who want to be doing the same role, and nobody to do the superstar role. And I know Snappy's telling us that they can star play by committee or whatever, which is an idea, and it's a nice idea, but I'm not sure how rooted in reality it is. And I do think that if you add a genuine superstar to this team, you just raise the floor so much. You're not losing a map to Tyloo if you've got if you've got a superstar on the team. But then what superstar do they even get now? The superstar they wanted was Nico, who's not been that good on CS2.
I was going to say, your superstar that you want is probably available or close to being available if you are thinking about G2.
Yeah.
But do you really want that superstar anymore?
Well, the thing is, the superstar they need is Nerds, and they're not going to sign Nerds.
No, they can't sign Nerds.
No, so that's really the superstar
for a variety of reasons.
Well, quite, yeah. Which is, I know Snappy adores Nerds and would happily have had him. But who else can you get? Because all the other genuine superstars are taken. You kind of have to build your own star, as it were. You have to find one and
this was the the huge thing about Snappy, is that he's going to find these players and nurture them into stars.
Yeah.
But now Snappy is being given all these players who are already bona fide stuck in their role.
Yeah.
But I feel like Snappy needs someone to mold to a degree.
It would be really... They won't do this, but it would be really cool if it was just they kept Snappy and Majisk and then just gave him 3 real up-and-comers. I mean, Techno 4K. They give him a Techno 4K, find an AWPer, and then give him maybe you steal Aris Dos from Saw as your AWPer. You do something like this, and you give Snappy nearly their players. Even maybe they just give loads of money to M80 for Malbs. They've seen what he can do.
No, please, no.
Give Snappy Malbs, bro. It'll turn him into it'll be so good. Give him this sort of team.
This is a bad take.
Just give him a team of almost there players. Give him Sassanito's a bad example because he's gone like severely downhill. But like,
okay,
give
we'll
him
talk
that sort
about
of player. They'll never
Sassanito in a
do
couple
this,
minutes.
but it's got to be a better idea, surely.
There's some Sassanito news in a couple minutes.
Magniez from Betboom. I don't know if he speaks English, but
all right, let's move on.
Players like this, just give him nearly their players.
Let's move on. We're gonna take this time to do random roster shit that's happened, and then we'll talk about what's coming next. And there is something that I saw this morning and I cannot find, so I'm going to need to I will find it on the fly. So we'll start with the least important news to the most important news. The least important news is TSM is redoing their team for the 23rd time, and they've released Poison, Jax, and Quartz.
I just don't care.
Now hold on. Okay. Let's use our platform for a minute. Regin is the coach of this team, and we know via my DMs that he listens to this show. Okay? Because he has corrected me on where Rops plays on Nuke.
Yeah, because I think I disagreed with you at the time.
Correct. Please DM me, come on the show, and explain what the fuck TSM is doing.
He would like to come on the show. I'm pretty sure he asked me before about it.
Please explain what TSM is doing, because we don't see the vision.
No,
we in fact are very confused.
I'm finding it harder and harder. I mean, I didn't particularly care about the first roster that turned up, and now it's like, unless they build something interesting now, I think it's got to the point. So there's a sort of cycle every quote unquote big org goes through when they join CS. They sign big names who they know won't work. They get rid of them, like just to get sponsors. Then they get rid of them, and then they get the team they actually wanted. I presume that's the cycle TSM are going through now, and they're going to sign the team they actually want. But I'd have more faith in Region building a team than, TSM's management. But I don't know. You have to sign. I mean, they could sign the Apex players, I suppose, but that's about it.
So welcome to point number 2, which I cannot find an article for. I have no clue where it went.
It's on HLTV.
It's literally right on the front page. It was just the big one, and I was looking at the small ones. Okay, so number dos. Apex has transfer listed their entire roster per Apex. So it was a rumor. Now it is a confirmed by Apex. They are committed to building a CS team that can compete with the best, and we are excited for the opportunities this rebuild represents. So the only exception to the transfer list is Stico, who is actually a free agent.
Okay. I was gonna say it'd be really fun if they just kept after they benched Stico, that would be really fun. Back, they just keep Stico.
So let it be known that the way that this works, okay, if you don't follow traditional sports, transfer list basically says these players, we're not using them. They have a buyout, and we have to, another team will have to buy them out or trade a player for them. Though trading players does not very often happen in the esport world.
Because it's also very rare that you would want the player they're replacing to sign.
Correct. So, but it means that the 4 players of Jacob, Nox, Sense, and Kashinito all have a buyout, but Stico, as a free agent, because he was on a temporary contract, is now a free agent, which means he can go sign with whoever the fuck he wants.
TSM.
That wouldn't be the worst fit in my head of just because,
if you're building a new team, you just have Stico, then you can kind of do whatever you want around the rest.
He's just Ditto.
You can put him anywhere. He's versatile.
Except for the Star Rifle role. Don't put him there.
It depends how good your team is.
I'm stating this because Stico to Falcon should not be a thing. Okay?
That would be funny. There could just be a full team of support players.
Oh, God.
Stico, just cut some pious for Stico and they'll just hold everything.
Wasn't that was the original TSM?
Because
they had Jax and Inters and that was the original TSM. It's just all okay. Teams that so is there anyone here that we think is worthwhile to another team? I know Nock we definitely think is a worthwhile player to another team. Honestly,
as individual pieces, they're all useful to somebody.
I was gonna say I think Jacob is still an excellent piece for a lot of teams. He's been playing for forever, but guy doesn't look like he's missed shit.
Jacob is a very, very good, very stable player with a hell of a lot of experience. Put him on any sort of young team, you'd be pretty comfortable, to be honest. Like,
now hear me out.
Falcons.
No. JKS is a free agent right now.
Oh, God.
Is this 100 Thieves Reunion part 17?
Well, you know what? FlyQuest could do worse than sign Jakeem.
And Jacob already can understand Australian accents, which is
it's not a particularly difficult one to understand, to be honest.
It depends where you are. I work with some people in Australia, and sometimes it is difficult to understand.
Oh, I've always felt Australian was very, very easy to understand. I mean, obviously,
you're British, so
well, yeah, but like I can't understand Scottish people half the time, and they're much
that I can do that. Okay, regardless, Sense is absolutely a really good player for a bunch of like for a team that wants to develop a player. Sense and Kashinito both.
I think Sense would be a decent fit on a like. You could put him on an academy team.
You know where both those players would be great on?
Sprout. Yeah, true. Yeah.
They would both be excellent Sprout players. Rest in peace, Sprout.
Yeah.
The most interesting one to me though is Knock. Knock is in fucking insane form. He was really good at both. He's been really good for a while.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of hard to find a spot for him, but somebody will sign Nork, I think, because he is just a good player. Like, he's an upgrade. I think Complexity could do worse.
So I think it was Halzerk that came out and said this, but Halzerk was basically like, if this tournament doesn't work, I think this is my last tournament. Now, I have absolutely no basis in any clue if that's actually true or not, if Complexity are actually, there's no basis, right? But
yeah,
if they were looking to move on from Halzerk, Knock is I wouldn't say Knock is an upgrade. I'd say it's like I would say it's a side grade with a little bit more potential in it.
I'd say he's a small but noticeable upgrade on Halzerk.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of the interesting things of like, I don't know.
He's a lot more stable than Halzerk for a start.
I think that's true.
He's a lot more stable. They're both kind of like late roundish AWPers. And Halzerk dies too often being aggressive, where he isn't always the best late round AWPer because he does die early. Halzerk isn't terrible, but I just think Nork is a better version of the same player.
This is like the Knock
style.
This is the Knock device conversation. Yeah. Of like, who are you replacing it with? Device. Well, okay, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's a different degree, but it's the same kind of idea. All right. Next is the Entropic news. Now, we haven't talked about Entropic in about forever. They're the roster with Tizian and Marix and a bunch of other random players. But the reason we're talking about them is because they've added a bunch of more random team dropouts, mostly OG dropouts.
Okay.
So they have Tizian, Marix, Buzz, an Astralis dropout.
Wow.
Regali, an OG dropout, and Fasher, an OG dropout.
You know what?
I don't hate this team.
I don't hate it. I like Buzz. I think Buzz has got something about him. Regali is probably too good for this roster. Regali's like not bad at all.
So I didn't look in the comments until just now, but OG had commented on this Twitter post. It's like OG's little sister.
Yeah. Regali is like.
Do me a favor, Elliot.
There must be something wrong with Regali.
I will put this on screen for the viewers. Can you go to your Twitter DMs? Because you need to look at the post. And so for everyone else, I will describe what's going on, which is they put every person photoshopped as Peaky Blinders-esque characters. And they're calling this the Entropic CS2 Grinders.
Okay. Yeah. That's pretty much spot on. I think that's Buzz as Cillian Murphy. It's very interesting.
I don't know who decided that this was a particularly good idea.
I don't think I get it. And also, some of the hats are a bit too big. They photoshopped hats onto some of them, and they're a bit too big. They could have got them to actually just wear
hats. Yeah.
instead of photoshopping them on, which is what I'm pretty sure they've
done
here.
Yeah, I don't know who's in the bottom right. I'd assume that's Buzz. Yeah, Buzz's hat is just a little too wide, I think.
The names at the bottom are in order.
Oh yeah, the names on the bottom are in order. Yeah, because Tizzy. Okay. Yeah, no, the hat's just a little too wide.
Yeah.
All right.
And on Marek's as well.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's get to actually important news that matters.
Sorry, what's the why Peaky Blinders?
I don't know.
There's no
and the thing is
no
like
pun or anything.
It's not even like we're in an era of like, oh, everyone's watching Peaky Blinders. It's not like
it's not like
4 years ago when like everyone. Yeah, it's not like everyone was watching The Office during the pandemic or some shit, and like you make an Office reference or something like that. No,
like if they just started making Game of Thrones references or Breaking Bad, it's like we're past that.
Yeah,
Peaky Blinders is still somewhat relevant, but it's not like.
But it's not like topical.
It's not like it's not controlling the zeitgeist at the moment, is it? It's very odd.
No. Okay. The most important news of the week. We will get to
Peaky
the Cloud9
Blinders
news.
Is back on tonight.
We will get to the Cloud9 news in a minute, but we need to talk about the other. coldzera was removed from Legacy like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
And now they're in a legal battle involving a United States court about Legacy not letting coldzera play for Red Canids because he still has an active contract with Legacy, who said that he wasn't playing for him anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be somewhat careful about speculating on this. Because
that is the vague thing. I will not take any legal matter. My name is Elmo Zablokowicz.
Legacy,
you can find me there.
Legacy clearly think they've got a leg to stand on, so fair enough.
There is some legal mumbo jumbo going on.
Yeah.
And people on there is a statement, which is a real statement, which has carbon copied representatives from Valve, CS tournament organizers, HLDV, Dust2 Brazil, coldzera's lawyer.
And coldzera's mom. I don't know if that's true. It's just the sort of thing that would be on there. Because Brazilian Counter-Strike's like that.
Yeah. But just one of those weird things that we don't see very often, but worthwhile to bring up.
Yeah, he's trying to go via the Bosman ruling.
Also, it's in the U.S. courts, not the Brazilian courts.
I wonder if...
I think Legacy is a U.S.-based team.
Yeah, it's probably that. Like, there will be something like that. And the contract laws will be specific to that country as well.
Yeah. Okay. So the real news.
I would say there's some other news we should probably cover as well.
Yeah, the Cloud9 news.
No, I'd say there's two other pieces of news we should cover. One, Dust2's back in the map pool.
Oh, huge week for North Americans.
Terrible decision.
Yeah, no, I'm actually super like okay. I have two problems with this. One, Dust2 is back in the map pool. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't particularly like Dust2, but it's not because I don't like the map. I play a lot. Let me explain. I play a lot of casual Counter-Strike with friends that are like from work or something that aren't grinding face it to be a level 10 or something like that. We're playing Premier during lunch because that's what we do. For those people, Dust2 are great because it is an easy to understand map that I don't need to teach new people how to play. We can hit on it. I go, there's 3 lanes. You can go to any site from the middle. That's all you need to know. And get off on any of them, right? It's super simple for me to show someone, as opposed to like Nuke, fucking impossible to teach someone to start with, right? But my problem is that Dust2 comes back into the map pool unchanged since the last time it was here.
Yep.
Okay. So everyone figured out Dust2 last time it was here. And it's not like we're adding Dust2 back and there's new things to figure out because there's a bunch of changes. Mm-hmm. It's just the same map.
Yep.
And they removed Overpass, which, regardless of your feelings on Overpass, was a bit more of a new map than Dust2 is, especially since it got its full redo that they did on CS2 release. That's my problem with Dust2. It's not like I love Dust2 as a casual map, but as a pro play map, it has solved. And they also removed a good map.
I hate this move for several reasons. One, as you mentioned, Dust 2 is a completely solved map. There's nothing new. There's nothing I haven't already seen. There's the depth of strategy is almost
It's spawn
non-existent.
based. Well,
Yeah, it's
the big thing about Dust 2 is there is no strategy going into it because everything is spawn based.
yeah.
Are we going A this round? Are we going B this round? Are we going mid
And
this round? Are we going cat this round? It is based on who has a good spawn. And it's on
and
both sides. It's not even just T or CT.
yeah.
It's both sides.
And people will say, well, you need some maps like that in the pool, which I don't necessarily actually agree with. I think that's kind of reductive. But also, we already have so many maps that are somewhat even against underdogs and fast and puggy. Like, if you
Ancient
are
is an excellent example.
Ancient is like the peak of what a pug style aggressive fast paced map should be. If
Yep.
every map was like Ancient, it would be a little bit samey. But having Ancient in there, you almost don't need any other map that's anything like it because it's just the peak. Like, and then you've got Ancient, which is a very fast paced map, but I think probably still requires quite a high level of of tactical nous. But then you have Mirage, which I actually don't think is puggy at all in pro play. I really don't. It's just that people have been playing it for so long that even underdog teams are good at Mirage now. Inferno is a completely 50-50 map against it underdog because everyone fucking plays it, and it's a terrible, terrible map. Whatever. Vertigo, every underdog team who has come up out of nowhere has been really good at either Vertigo because it's a gimmick map or Anubis because it was the newest map. Anubis is now kind of fine. Anubis is somewhere in the middle. There is only Nuke now that exists that is a genuine, difficult to play, high tactical, like chess map. You can argue actually that Mirage is very tactical at pro level, and I'd probably agree with you. And you can argue Anubis can be.
I would argue Mirage is, but Mirage falls into the same pitfalls that Dust 2 has,
That
which is this map is it is a solved map.
It is, but like I think there's still a lot. There's still so many variations of how you can take mid, how you can take A, how you can.
I totally agreed, but it is to a degree a solved map. It's been around for fucking like in the map pool for how long?
It's been in the map pool for 10 years or something, and it's still got more variation than Dust 2, which has been in and out. Dust 2 is an inferior version of Mirage, and the third massive problem I have with this is there were 3 maps that people were begging to be removed from the map pool. There were Inferno, if you've got eyes, Vertigo, which is also probably fair because it's an inherently flawed map that I just happen to like.
Yeah,
and Mirage for people who are a bit dim, because there's no way Mirage should ever be out the map pool.
Or tired of Mirage.
Yeah, but like,
I understand. I don't
care if you're tired of it. Like, I'd rather be tired of a map than think it's bad, because Inferno and Vertigo are both just bad maps. Inferno is horrible to watch. It's horrible to watch. It's completely solved. And it's just incredibly boring, incredibly slow. People moaned about MR15 taking too long. It wouldn't take anywhere near as fucking long if you didn't have to watch people save for 10 minutes on Inferno every fucking time. Vertigo is just flawed. Like, the A site takes are nearly unstoppable, and you just have to play retake with like double nade setups. It's not very interesting. It's not very tactical. So you could remove either of those. You could remove Mirage. It would be a terrible decision, but you could have done it. But the fact that there were 3 maps that people didn't want in the map pool, and most people argued for one of those 3, means that the map pool wasn't good in the first place. And then we're taking one of the maps that very few people actually had a problem with. It's still somewhat interesting to watch and interesting to play. It's a nice mix of, like, you have the B site, which can be really fast and aggressive and puggy and like you have all these executes, and then you have the longer A site. Okay, sometimes it could be a bit meandering, but it's significantly better than watching Inferno. There's more variation than playing Inferno. Why are we removing this for a worse version of a map that's already in the map pool? It's insane. Like, the map pool was already not good, and we're taking away one of the maps that nobody had a problem with to put in a map that, like, is just a terrible map.
Yeah. My only hope here is that they will do this move, and then this move will only last, 5 months?
Yeah.
until the Shanghai major, and then we do another move. Right. I truly think, and I have said this before, you can go back and listen to other podcasts, that CS needs to have a map pool switch after every single major. The way Valorant does it, where every episode they rotate the map pool, excellent. Okay. It needs to be continuously moving, because you get things like Dust 2 that are solved. Okay.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean we need a full redo every single time. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean any of that, but
you could swap 3 maps out of the map pool right now. Like the next map change, you could take 3 out and put 3 in, and it wouldn't be ridiculous. Like you could take out Dust 2, Vertigo, Inferno, and you could put in you could even put in Cobblestone. I don't think Cobblestone's a great map, but fuck it, it's better than Dust 2. You could put in Cobblestone.
Part of my hope is kind of just
you could put in Train. Where is Train? I miss Train so much.
Part of my kind of hope is that they wanted to put in one of those maps for instead of Dust 2, but Dust 2 just wasn't ready, and they went, well, we need the map pool to be changed for Shanghai, so we need to put something, but we're not ready with what we actually wanted, so Dust 2 will be a stopper. I just still don't understand why they removed Overpass for it. But we're also kind of guesstimating here, so
but then it's also I saw Maui saying it's a business decision. Casuals like Dust 2.
Well, I was gonna say the very
Chinese
first point I made
likes Dust 2.
The very first point I made is at this point I play a ton of Counter-Strike during lunch with coworkers, and Dust 2 is an excellent fucking map. I've got a guy who is 4,000 elo in Premiere, not Face It, in Premiere. Okay.
4K elo Face It be insane.
I know.
You'd have to be friends with Monacy.
4K Premiere, right? I'm sitting I think at 13K at this point. 14K, somewhere in that ballpark.
14, 15 at the moment.
It's nothing insane. I don't play particularly seriously, but the point is he's not particularly good, but he understands what Dust 2 is. It's so easy for a casual player to see, to figure out.
But then so is Inferno and Mirage. For sure.
What was your other bit of news?
Smooya supposedly standing in for fours, tweeting Slava Ukraini, and then having to apologize. I don't really, it's just worth bringing up. I don't think we should really talk about it much because it's just a bad idea to talk about it, but just worth mentioning. He's now back in the team because all mistakes are forgotten. So
let's chat about the important news, which is Cloud9 have benched Perfecto and Hobbit. I don't think we got to talk about this last week.
Kind of to nobody's surprise, but everyone's surprise all at once.
I feel like we talked. Wait, did we talk about this last week?
I've got no idea. I live completely lucidly. I've got no idea what I did yesterday.
I have no. You know what? I'm gonna just assume we talked about this last week because this happened on the 22nd, which was last Monday.
We might have done.
Okay, I'm gonna skip.
I'm just gonna say like it was to nobody's surprise and everyone's surprise at once. We knew they were making changes. I do recall us talking about where Perfecto might go.
Okay,
but there's a lot of teams who could be improved by Perfecto.
The second the electronic thing happened, I think it's just kind of exciting. Okay, let's talk about Group C.
Perfecto's going to go to Falcons and really round out the.
No. Let's talk about Group C and Group D for Pro League. Let's finish this off. So Group C is Maus, Bad News Kangaroos, ENT, Gamer Legion Furia, Liquid, Forza, and Monty. Maus beat Bad News Kangaroo in the first round to literally no one's surprise.
Bad News Kangaroos have just taken a map off ENT, which is really funny.
So ENT lost to Gamer Legion in their opening match, which is a reasonable-ish loss.
Yeah, Gamer Legion are still good. They're still
they've lost. They keep losing players, and they're still good.
Yeah, they're still just somebody at Gamer Legion knows what they're doing. I'm telling you that now.
Furia played Liquid in so far the most exciting match of this group.
Yeah, that was one
Furia
where you could have gone either way. I think
Furia won a map,
no idea.
And then and Fours lost to Monty and the Smooya incident, etc. In the opener. Upper semifinals, Maus just beat Gamer Legion, pushing Maus into confirmed playoff spot. Liquid play Monty in about 45 minutes from record. Ents have just lost a map to Bad News Kangaroos. Our thoughts on this group, in my head, it's like I know Maus can get through, and then after that point, there's like 6 teams fighting for the second, third, and fourth spot.
Do you remember when in Group A when we were talking about how Stown was always going to be at Pro League groups because he's the best group stage player in the world, and Pro League is basically a 5 weeks of group stage. Mouse are unbelievable in group stages. And
I was going to say,
well, not terrible, much worse on stage.
I was going to say, Cadian was Stown's IGL, so I assume Liquid will be exactly the same way.
I think Mouse might win the event. Because they won the last Pro League, right? In the last one
this is the group stage of events.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think Mouse might win it.
There's no way for them to choke. Convincing. I mean, Astralis could win it. They
true.
Can't.
It could be like a Mouse Astralis final, honestly. And I wouldn't be too surprised.
This group, the only team I'm confident in getting through is Mouse. Realistically, after that point, if you told me Gamer Legion, any combination of Ents, Gamer Legion, Furia, Liquid, and Monty, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
The only teams I would be surprised by getting through would be Bad News Kangaroo and Force. There's no amount of very high level analysis we can give here because there's 3 tiers in this group.
There's no way Force get through.
No,
it's just no
and
way.
Bad News Kangaroos are going to get eliminated in the next hour.
Honestly, there's probably no way Ents get through the way they've played the first 2 games. But
yeah, I'd agree on that point. Okay, Group D, the last group. This group is fucking
it's
fun.
A rubbish group. I don't know. It's kind of bad.
No, it's bad, but that makes it very fun.
Sort of. It's never fun to me to watch NIP play Counter-Strike.
Just don't watch NIP games.
Especially without rares. I mean, not that I particularly rate rares, but it's not even their full roster. You can't even take the mick out of them for losing that much.
No. So Complexity beat Para to open. NIP lost to Heroic to no one's surprise to open. Big won the Big Boss matchup.
Yeah.
Just excellently named matchup. And then Na'Vi, the reigning major champions, beats the Australians of FlyQuest, who continuously are the best dressed at this event.
Yeah. Aurora ESL Challenger Melbourne, by the way. Very, very sexy.
Very good. And I had tagged you in this on Twitter, but I will say it here. The FlyQuest MSI jerseys with dragon scales all over them, very good as well. FlyQuest doesn't miss, apparently.
They always make cool stuff.
So every opening match in Group D was a 2-0. I don't expect to see that for the rest of it, but there's the only 3 teams I'm vaguely confident in making it through are Complexity, Heroic, and Na'Vi. One of Complexity and Heroic will make it through tomorrow in the morning for me, because they play each other in the upper bracket to make the finals. And one of Big or Na'Vi will make it through. But the 4th team, because in my head, Complexity, Na'Vi, and Heroic, I don't know who the 4th team's going to be here. It may just be Big because of by default.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Because the other 4 teams
Big don't make it through, then they've got some questions to answer, I think. This is a weak group. FlyQuest, Boss, NIP with 2 stand-ins, and Pera. If you're not better than them, this team is probably not going to last.
So I have no faith in NIP in this group. I have no faith in Pera in this group.
Or ever,
I have very little faith in FlyQuest in this group.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the NA in me, but I still don't have faith in Boss. But I think if anyone could make it that wasn't Big, is that if Boss has a little bit of a lower bracket run against some of the other teams that are below them, I could see a Boss slipping through.
I think I'd sooner put FlyQuest through than Boss. I think FlyQuest. Inns is still a good player. Inns and Liaz are good players. Vexite, I've seen him look very good in some games.
Yeah.
There is a world where they're better than.
But Pone Alone and Fang.
Yeah,
I'm not even.
Pronolone
I'm not
is
even
in no
selling
way
myself, man.
anywhere near as good as Inns. Inns is like legitimately quite good at Counter-Strike.
You're probably right.
Pronolone is like a Mag 7 abusing like FPL player.
He's an AWPer, man.
Yeah, but isn't he like famous for like buying the Mag 7?
Yeah,
that's him, right?
I think so. Okay, I think that's it for us this week. Don't be surprised if on who gets through in Group C. We'll talk about playoffs next week. Yes, we'll talk about playoffs next week. It all starts after our recording, and yeah, get ready. There's some other events in the pipeline here, and again, a reminder from the beginning of the episode: if you liked this episode and have video editing skills and are willing to work for absolutely no money, like the rest of us, and you want to edit this podcast so that way I don't have to, and also so that way you get a good podcast out of it.
And maybe you get a cool gig at the end of it as well.
Yeah,
like our previous video.
Yeah, I was gonna say our previous
That's the
two
real
editors,
selling point.
Our previous two editors both now have paying video gigs that they do. Our first editor has been doing stuff for Fragadelphia. I think he's releasing like an NIP thing. I don't know what he's doing a lot of cool
very
stuff.
Very accomplished man.
Yes. So if you want to, DM me or the TLDR account, and we'll get you sorted on that kind of stuff. But until next week, you can find us on Twitter at Logan Randall, at DZS, and at ReTLDR. We'll be back.